So,
Do you still get excited?
yeah. Do you? No. Okay. So, how did your parents end up in Middleborough?
How to what?
How did your parents end up in Middleborough?
Oh God, I don't know.
Did they come
Oh, I know. My father came from the old country, of course, and he was living in Boston in a room, by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to the Cape every day, working on, I don't know if it was a wharf, was something that was close to the edge of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother used to go down there every day to meet her dad. Her dad worked at the, the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it was time for him to get through, she'd go down. She loved her father, but she hated her mother. Her mother was mean to her. And she got to talking to my father every day. And this is a terrible story. And so when he got through working there, he told her goodbye. This is the last time I'm coming to the Cape because I'm all done with this project that I've been sent here to do. And so she says, well, why don't you take me with you? She says, I don't like living with my mother. He says, they'd arrest me. Because she was only 14, and he was, I think he was 19.
Mm-hmm.
And she begged him and begged him and begged him to take her to Boston. And I don't know if he finally gave in or she just followed him somehow, I don't know. And so when the father didn't find her there, when he got through work, of course he went home and she wasn't there. So he knew about my father working there, because when he got through work himself, he used to see his daughter standing there talking with my father. And so he told his wife, he says, I wonder if she went off with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I'm going to have to go to Boston and find out if I can find where he lives. So he went to the place where he knew he worked out of. And they knew where he lived, of course. So my father went to his house, and my father says, what are you doing taking my daughter to Boston? And he said, I didn't want her to come with me. She begged and begged and begged, and when I was leaving, she just jumped up in my truck. She wouldn't get out. She said that she was going to Boston with me. So I said, what the heck? Go ahead. So he said she just took a ride with me to Boston. When I got home, she didn't know where to go. She didn't have no place to go. So he let her come to his room. And she wasn't there too long when my grandfather got there. And he said, what have you been doing here? And they said, nothing. He told my father how she begged him to take her to Boston. And he said I wouldn't take her. And she finally jumped in and wouldn't get out of my truck. So I said, well, here goes. I had to go home, and I went, and she was with me. So my grandfather says, well, this don't look too good. Now you're going to have to get married. My father says, no, I'm not marrying her. He said, I don't even know her. We haven't done anything. She just followed me home. And my grandfather says, no, I don't like the looks of this. So my father got, I don't know who he got to made them get married. She was on. My mother died when I was 17, and she was 45.
So what year were you born?
I was born in 21.
And
And from 21 to 17.
so in 1938 she passed away? And she was 45?
Yeah.
So this was...
And anyway, that's how they met.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather made them get married. So then my mother had her first baby when she was only 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And when she told me, because I was the 7th daughter in a family of 10, but when I heard the story, I just couldn't believe it. I was 17 and I thought, I can't see myself now with a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And you had my oldest sister at the age of 15.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought that sounded so terrible.
Yeah.
And then she had a baby after that every year. Sometimes maybe almost 2 years went by. But I don't know too much else about them.
Yeah.
My mother was kind of close-mouthed. I think she was kind of embarrassed that.
Well, what was life like for you growing up?
Terrible.
Terrible. What?
My father was he was very mean, but that's the way that they were brought up over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, but he was awful mean. And I never knew my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
They died, and I never got to meet them. So, but my father was very strict. So strict that one night when I was sitting at the table after supper, I was doing my homework, and some pictures fell out of, I don't know, a book or whatever I had, a pencil case probably. And some were boys' pictures. You know how they take your pictures in school at the end of the year, and you trade pictures?
Yep.
Well, that's what they were all doing, trading little pictures. And my father saw one of the boys' pictures. Oh, was he mad? Who's that boy? Just the kid I go to school with, Pa. You know, the way they take our pictures and they trade pictures. And he wanted to swap with me, but he swapped with all the other girls too. Wasn't just me. My father grabbed that picture, all of them, threw them in the stove. We had an old-fashioned black stove that you burned wood and coal in. Didn't have the nice stoves we have today.
Yeah.
And that's how strict he was. Couldn't even have a boy's picture.
Oh my.
That was just friends.
Yeah.
Then one noontime, he used to go home for lunch every day because he worked for the town and he had the town truck. And he was going home for lunch, and I was walking home for lunch. And I lived over the bridge, over the railroad tracks on your left. This boy lived over the railroad tracks, down the right somewhere. My father stopped the truck. Get in here. I had to get in the truck. I said to the guy, see you later. Junior high school we were in. I said, Pa, I go to school with him. He lives down there. And after he come home for lunch, and I'm walking home for lunch, so he ran and caught up with me just to have somebody to walk with. Well, my father took me home, took me back to school after lunch. I couldn't walk.
Was it like that from then on?
It was all my life.
Oh.
I imagine it was the same with my older sisters.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh yeah, he was very suspicious of everything. Bad, everything bad.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you must have been quite a guy over there. Always, I won't tell you some of the things he said to us.